That right there is the new Louis Vuitton LVERS. Let's talk about it.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be talking about the newest fragrance. I had this up here like it was a full bottle or something. Okay, listen, this releases in June 19th and it's not June 19th yet, okay? So we're gonna be doing a full review and I'm gonna tell you guys my experience and how long I wore it. I wore this actually for 2 days. This is a 5 ml decant and I've got 1 ml left for testing purposes. Along with the day prior to, I was able to spray this on skin as well. So I paid a couple of visits to my local Louis Vuitton and I got a couple of fragrances. I'm becoming a preferred client and preferred enough to get a 5 ml decant, okay? So I love the guys at Louis Vuitton. They've been really good to me. So today we're gonna be talking about Louis Vuitton LVERS, but before we start, I want to mention that you should check out my TikTok content, my Instagram, my short format. I've got unique content everywhere. TikTok, it's aromatics_, and on Instagram, aromatics_Neeb, and all of these little pop-ups that are coming up. Check me out, man. Let's go ahead and get started with today's topic. It's going to be Pharrell Williams and Louis Vuitton's LVERS 2024, releasing on June 19. So this is a fragrance that for the last 2 days I've really been living with. So this is all I've been thinking, all I've been sniffing, and when you look up Louis Vuitton LVERS, you should come across some of my shorts. So the first day I was able to sample it on a tester or on a card. The second day I went back and I was able to actually spray it on skin. And the final day, which is actually today, here we are 9 hours later talking about my experience with Louis Vuitton LVERS. This is something that I lived with for 3 days now. And I think that I'm pretty ready to talk about it and I will be buying a full bottle. And I'm gonna tell you guys why I'm gonna buy a bottle. And if I say anything that interests you, then consider checking it out. Not many people have a boutique near them, which I understand can sometimes be hard, but I also have a bunch of links down in the description, like decanting services where they can sell you some samples, etc., making it a little bit easier. God willing, in the near future, we'll potentially do some giveaways with decants of this fragrance as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first order is going to be presentation, except there isn't really much of anything to present here except this. That's what they look like, okay? So Louis Vuitton fragrances presentation is relatively simple, but it's done to the top notch of things, basically. The glass is the highest of polish. The magnetic cap is really nice, this cork style atomizer as well, and it's refillable. So they're able to take it back and pop. That wasn't supposed to happen. They're able to take it back and pop open the cork, fill it up for you, and give it back. The atomizer on these is actually pretty nice as well. I'm gonna spray one for the homies. Here we go. This is about $20. No, it's probably a couple of dollars maybe, who knows. But anyways, beautiful presentation. Wow, Pacific Chill is so good. But beautiful presentation, great fragrances. They took the fragrance community by storm because of quality. They definitely have quality, and the scent profiles are something to really appreciate. So to understand some of these scent profiles, let's first talk about their in-house perfumer, who is Jacques Cavalier. Jacques Cavalier does all of their fragrances, which is actually pretty dang smart. It's like having a signature fragrance style, basically. When you go to a McDonald's, you get the same quality almost everywhere. And that's kind of what they do in their fragrance. They monopolize on a style of fragrance across the boards. So when you pick up Pacific Chill and Afternoon Swim and etc., you're gonna get something that's common amongst all of those. And generally speaking, with a lot of Jacques Cavalier's fragrances, he uses a compound called cologne. Cologne is this watery accord. It's gonna make it seem a little bit juicier and almost smell like melon. And that's the vibe that I get with a lot of their tropical or summertime fragrances. These fragrances are experiences, man. It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. And for that reason, it's worth the money because you don't get that vibe with other fragrances, in my opinion. So I've got L'Immensité, I've got Afternoon Swim, Pacific Chill, City of Stars. I've got them pretty much all of them that I enjoy personally. When I initially discovered Louis Vuitton fragrances, I wasn't the craziest about it because I was looking for just compliment worthy, and I was like, okay, you know, whatever. But no, you have to be about that vibe and understand that when you go in, these are literally that. So place yourself on a vacay, go into your boutique and get your nose on it. Not to mention my top 2 fragrances right now from the house is going to be L'Immensité and Ombre Nomade. And I think Ombre Nomade should be in every man's collection. Growing up with a lot of oud, this is cream of the crop when it comes to quality oud fragrances. That rose, the saffron, the raspberry, and the oud in this one is absolutely insane. A compliment-worthy king, lasts 24 plus hours and has gotten me compliments almost every single wear. Yes, you're gonna pay a premium, but that's why it's called luxury, man. It is what it is. So today, let's dive into Louis Vuitton Lovers. With all things considered, that I feel like was all really important and information that you need to understand while jumping into this fragrance. So, top notes of this fragrance include bergamot galbanum. In the mid, we've got solar notes and ginger, and in the base, a simple note breakdown of sandalwood and cedarwood. So although it's a pretty simple note breakdown, you're gonna get plenty of accords, and accords basically means things you smell. So the notes, there's about 6, but the accords, there's probably a good 8 to 9. The accords of this fragrance is going to be green, aromatic, aldehydic, slightly fresh, spicy, and balsamic. To understand how we get these accords, let's go ahead and start off with the opening and the scent profile of this fragrance on initial spray. So the first time you spray this fragrance, what you're gonna get is a combination of citrus, zingy ginger, and this intense piney style galbanum. The galbanum isn't just going to give you this forest vibe, it's gonna give you a couple of accords. It's aromatic, it's slightly vegetal, and also balsamic. Balsamic generally comes with resinous style fragrances, which it comes off ambery, but also balsamic can slightly give off a vinegar style vibe, which contributes a little bit of an acidity. So when you think acidity, you might think sour, but this doesn't go sour per se. It smells a lot better than it sounds, because for the most part, I would say that that's the least accord that I get with the whole galbanum vibe. The ambers, if you think about chopping into a tree, the sap, the inside of a tree is gonna be very intense, it's gonna be warm, it's gonna be maybe even slightly sweet. And all of these accords kind of work together, allowing the fragrance to not go just in that balsamic route. So that's why a lot of people might find this slightly vegetal and even slightly acidic vibe. And I even saw a couple of platforms or review platforms, and somebody commented something about pickle juice, etc. No way. So although it does have that balsamic and slightly acidic, it has plenty more than just that. Intense, green, herbal, foresty. I mean, the note of galbanum is pretty dang intense, and it has a lot of accords as well. Mind you, that's not all we're working with. It's just something that really has a significant role in this fragrance. So for the most part, I'm gonna be focusing on galbanum because it lives from the top to like hour 5. So that's basically what you're gonna get, but you also get a hefty naturalistic dose of cedarwood. One of the best cedarwood style or cedar notes that I've smelled in fragrances is gonna be in this fragrance, because of the fact that it smells A, of natural or high quality, and B, it's really prominent. There's a hefty dose of that cedar along with the galbanum, and everything else kind of just helps the fragrance stay relatively fresh. We're referring to the ginger, we're referring to the solar notes, and that bergamot. Now for me, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hear woody, dry, etc., I'm not really thinking summertime fresh fragrances, but it's a little bit different with this one. So there is a note of solar notes. What the hell does that mean? That just it's a fantasy note. It's probably a blend of synthetic notes to help recreate some citruses, etc., help lift the fragrance, maybe some aldehydes, etc., that gives it a freshness. That, and when you couple that ginger with some citruses, it actually smells pretty damn good. And that's exactly the case with this one. Not only that, we've got the freshness coming from that trio effect. We get also a bunch of different accords like green, foresty, aromatic, and ambery. Instead of the ambers coming from a fantasy note of amber, which generally speaking will be a combination of like labdanum and vanilla to recreate the note of amber, this one just uses galbanum, and I think that it helps keep this fragrance fresh. Notes like labdanum and vanilla are going to have a higher molecular weight and wear a lot thicker, taking it more into a realm of a warmer style fragrance. But at the 2 to 3 hour mark, I start to remember that there's a note of ginger in the fragrance, because for the most part, I get pretty occupied noticing the green and foresty nature of the galbanum, and I actually love it. It's contrasted and complemented very nicely with a matching note of dry, almost like sawdust style of cedarwood, pretty powdery as well, also coming from a contribution of the note of sandalwood. So dry, woody, powdery at the same time, foresty, piney, and fresh. And that's pretty much what this fragrance will do. So at about hour 2 to hour 3, this is when things start to shift a little bit. And it goes from this fresh galbanum, cedarwood, and things start to kind of, settle down on your skin. So the first 2 hours I feel like is the most intense of this fragrance. You definitely have to enjoy 2 categories of fragrances to like this, to even get past the first 5 minutes. The first minute, you have to enjoy piney and foresty style fragrances, and also ambery and resinous style fragrances, or slightly balsamic. If you don't enjoy those lumberjack, dry, woody, pretty masculine fragrances, you might be turned off from the beginning because of the fact that this is a woodsy fragrance, period. That's the best way I could describe it, but it's also pretty dang fresh. The intense nature of the galbanum really starts to tone down and take a middle stage, I wouldn't even say a backstage, at around hour 2, allowing the cedar to really take the center stage and the backbone of the fragrance to complete the rest of the longevity of the fragrance. This is a fragrance that I could smell for about 6 hours. I was getting wafts the entire time. The galbanum was there, I want to say, for the entire time, up until hour 7. I didn't really get, just cedar wood or anything like that. It's a beautifully blended fragrance that you're going to get a lot of accords with. It was relatively complex, but simple at the same time. There were a lot of accords happening with this fragrance, and it contributes to the sophistication and the overall complexity of a simple designed fragrance. Although it only has 6 notes, I got a lot from wearing this fragrance, and overall what it exudes is class. This smells like a classical, masculine, dry, woody fragrance that you can wear during the summertime. It takes that forest, piney, lumberjack, just straight up hair on your chest vibes, and it adds a freshness to it that you can wear every single day. It doesn't just add the freshness, it adds a certain refinement and class, not just in terms of the quality of the scent profile, but in terms of the way it performs from A to Z. This is the perfect sandal and cedarwood based fresh fragrance that I will have in my collection. It does sandalwood, it does a hefty dose of cedarwood in a fresh way, along with a creative and unique note of galbanum. Yes, it's slightly balsamic. Yes, it can go slightly acidic, but it would be wrong for me to say that that's all that it's doing. It's doing a lot more than just that. There's a zingy nature to it. There's a fresh nature to it. There's a certain refinement. The performance we're going to be addressing here in a second, but it just smells like all-time refinement. It smells like $1,000,000. This, in my opinion, is appropriate for those who have money that are looking for a masculine, woody signature scent. Before we jump into the occasions, I'm going to be talking about the performance. So as I noted, I was saying that it was still getting some transitions in hour 2, and it actually was transitioning up until hour 6. This isn't a fragrance that's going to be a screamer per se, and that also helps aid this fragrance in becoming something that's really sophisticated and had that rich man vibes. This has rich man vibes written all over it. And if it was something more juvenile and more projecting, it would definitely take away from that. There's a certain confidence, certain finesse to the appropriate level of projection with a style of fragrance like this. There's certain vibes sometimes where I just want to be screaming with my fragrance, like with the oud, etc. But with this one, it does it right where it needs to be. It's woody, it's fresh, it's dry and powdery. This is a masculine fragrance that's appropriate for many occasions and seasons like fall, spring, and summer. It has the freshness to get you through the even hot days during the summertime, and that solar note or the aldehydes really helps this one wear a little bit lighter. I was able to smell myself for a good 4 to 5 hours, getting wafts as I moved around. It wasn't something that I really had to dig my nose in for and look for, but it's important to note that I did rock 4 mLs of this bad boy. So don't go shy on the trigger. But yeah, that's what it gave me based on those amounts of sprays. 4 mLs, which is pretty damn, that's a lot of sprays. Go big or go home. In terms of total longevity, we're at about hour 9 now, and I can still personally smell it on my clothing. On skin, it's still there. It's a soft note of cedar and powdery sandalwood. That's pretty much what I'm getting. And even till now, I still get the note of galbanum. It's pretty intense in this fragrance, and it's pretty intense in general. So a total longevity of about 9 to 10 hours on clothing, and on skin, I would say a good 6 to 8 hours, with the projection being a solid 3 to 4 hours without it ever being a screamer. It gives you a scent bubble of about 2 to 3 feet. So anybody who comes in close encounters, they'll definitely smell you. And I remember walking around the gym and getting a couple of wafts as I turned around here and there, which will lead me to occasions. Yes, I rock this to the gym because my daily routine is the gym and food and more of the gym. So I rocked this to the gym and I had no problem rocking it, but I will say that because it does have a balsamic nature, it might not be the best thing to wear during extremely high heat and during activity. With balsamic fragrances, because of its slightly acidic nature, it might actually enhance any BO if you're more prone to having it on skin. I usually work out with a clean canvas, meaning I shower and I put it on clean skin. And generally speaking, when I sweat, I don't really have much of BO because of that. So my diet's in check. That's a whole nother topic to get into. So long story short, I would rock this in summer, spring, and fall. Even high heat, just not extremely sweaty activities. You don't want to rock this. And honestly, it smells too high class to be rocking just to the gym. But if you want to smell like $1,000,000 while at the gym, wear what you want when you want. I find this most suited though for just, I mean, like I said, it's got rich man vibes. I see somebody in a white polo Oxford with their Bentley top down, cruising, getting some chores done, a white t-shirt and some jeans, or just, you know, daily activity where you want to smell like $1,000,000. It's a luxury fragrance and that's exactly what it smells like. Before we end the video, while looking up this fragrance, I came across a couple of databases or review databases where people were mentioning other fragrances, etc. And I saw a couple mentions of Santal 33, along with Gris Charnel and even Eau Hazard. So that's why I actually rocked Eau Hazard as well, but that's definitely more vegetal, and it also has a couple more accords. This wears a lot fresher. Although I mentioned a lot of forest and green, gentlemen, this is surprisingly fresh. It's actually really good. And in terms of something like Santal 33, this is a fragrance that I would personally wear for like dates, etc. This does not have a versatility as much as something like Lovers does. This is cardamom, it's iris, it's got some maybe like cypress or some other papyrus or something like that. It does have a woody nature, and sure, I can see the resemblances or placing them in a similar family, but I'd be wrong to say that they smell alike. They definitely have a vibe about them, but this is cardamom. It's not nearly as intense in something that's foresty, although there is that similar cedar wood style DNA. It also has cardamom and some iris. It's a different style of powdery, whereas this one has a certain versatility. It's day dates. You could definitely rock it to day dates. It's something you could wear with a t-shirt as well, whereas this one is just like more seduction vibes. Although this one smells like $1,000,000, and for women who like money, it might seduce her, but yeah, couple different vibes, definitely different vibes. And in terms of Eau Hazard, that one is absolutely more aromatic and vegetal than something like this. This has a lot more versatility than all of those mentioned fragrances, and I will definitely be grabbing me a bottle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Please make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. Till the next video, peace.